What's up, guys? Welcome to the GoHard podcast. I'm your host, Larry Nolan, and I'm actually here with kind of a familiar guest for myself and probably some of you guys, Tommy Reynolds. So actually, Tommy's a partner in 7 gyms officially.
I think so, yes.
All right. I love that we have to count.
Yeah.
So that means you're doing good.
We kind of don't count one, and we kind of count, yeah.
If we have to think about it, you're not doing bad. So he's either a partner or owner in 7 gyms. Multiple businesses that are totaling over 7 figures, 2 years in a row on the Inc. 5000, fitness competitor, fitness model. What else do we got out of the resume? I mean, I'm going to say the one that I think is the top is you're an awesome Instagram husband. Like, this dude will take 500 pictures and make sure his wife's picture is really good. So I'd say the top award would be top Instagram husband.
You need to talk to my wife because she thinks that I just don't participate, and I'm not happy to take 1,000 pictures everywhere I go.
No, they look great, bro.
I retired my modeling career to become an Instagram husband, actually.
Did you? I feel like it's much easier. Now instead of in front of the lens, you're behind it. Okay, I like it. Yeah. So a lot of people are going to end up seeing this, and some people know who you are, some people won't. So why don't you kind of run us through from the beginning, what got you into fitness, how we met, and how things kind of progressed?
Yeah, I guess my quick 5-minute intro to my story is I grew up in Sacramento. 20 years ago now, I moved down to San Diego, went to school at San Diego State, got a degree in finance real estate, graduated college in 2004, 2005, I can't remember. Got into real estate, and I was 23, killing the game, making my money, going to Vegas, blowing the money. It was a great time. But by the time I was 26, 2008 is when most of us that are a little bit older kind of know how the economy and the market crashed with the housing. I know you guys were even, part of that, victims of that. And so I had to kind of start over. And so I guess my rock bottom part of my life was I went from basically I got evicted from my house. I was living on couches. I had to file bankruptcy. The classic American comeback story that people love to hear. I had nothing. Like, it was horrible. And then I started over. So I ended up deciding that I was going to the gym, taking my friends there, working out for free anyways. So why not try to make a career out of this? So that was 2009, 2008. I think it's 2008, 2009. And where me and Larry kind of have a similar story is we both started at a park. So yep. I think we had a shirt that said started at, was when Drake came out with.
Yeah. Started at the park, now we're here.
Yeah, started at the park, now we're here. Yeah, so I used to drag, I had a toolbox that I would drag out from my Jeep. I know you had a big truck, and I would drag it out with my kettlebells and my TRX and blah, blah, blah. $20 I would charge these people. I was giving them a deal. Getting sunburnt. It was horrible.
And you got a free tan, bro. I see the half glass, the glass half full.
Yeah, but then it just kind of, it grew. I actually just ended up being really good at it, and it was a passion of mine. It was, we just had this talk out in the hallway here about people chasing their dreams, their passion, and it's so easy to say and cliche to say, but when you're genuinely, like, even to this day, I had a friend ask me 2 weeks ago if I like my job. I'm like, I don't have a job. It's just part of my life. I wake up. This is what we do. We all check our phones, our computers. We talk to our partners, our staff, our employees. It's kind of part of the gig, and it's not a job. So yeah, it kind of grew from there. Dream. Yeah, it grew from there. Then I decided to do some competitions, and that's where I ran into Larry. I met him through Art Ortiz. Shout out to Art, good friend of ours.
I think that you beat me in a competition.
Yeah. Well, I actually remember, I'm pretty sure Larry didn't like me from the get-go because I had not really prepped for this show. I just used to look really good every day. I showed up, and
he was always modest too. So.
Yeah. I was filling out the application to do the show, and I remember Larry's first words to me are like, "You're just registering for this show right now?" I'm like, "Yeah, man, I got a tan this morning, ready to go." He's like,
and I think you won.
The fuck. And so, and then I guess where I really got to know Larry though is me, Larry, and Art drove from Santa Clarita, which was my first time in Santa Clarita, out to Las Vegas for the USAs, and I want to say that was 2011, 2012. When did you do your first show?
I think it was 11.
I think it was 2011. The whole drive out there, I didn't know anything about Larry, and I'm asking him questions about his gym, and he had just kind of got into the location. It was just recently after they moved from the park. So it intrigued me. And at the time, I was saving money, not really knowing what I was going to do. And so I ventured out thinking I was going to do like a supplement shop or a gym or personal training studio. And I would say we did that in July. It was September. I remember specifically running into Larry and Nadia at the Rock Tape booth, I believe.
Yeah,
I think it was Rock Tape.
And it was at Olympia, or
it was Olympia. So it was like 3 or 4 months later, and I guess I had to kind of decide. I'm like, man, this is like pretty good chance we should try this out. And I said, hey man, would you ever be interested in, you know, doing a second location? He's like, you know, I've kind of thought about it, but we just haven't really got that far. And so that was kind of the start of that. And I believe it took me, I mean, this is what it's like working with Larry. I remember Larry hitting me up like 6 months later. He's like, hey man, I got a lot of people hitting me up right now, and if you don't gonna find a location, you know, just let me know. I'm gonna find someone else. I'm like, fuck, this guy's gonna bounce on. I was like, all right, I gotta find something. And you know, this is to me, it's still the hardest part of this business is finding locations. At least for me, anyways. I'm in San Diego, and it's not easy. It's expensive. Permits, parking, freeway access. It's just a very difficult task. And so I ended up finding this location in the back of a business park. And it kind of goes back and relates with me and Larry's first gyms. You know, he's still over here in the back of a business park with no sign. I was in the back of a business park with no signage. You couldn't find us if you had us on Google Maps. No one could find us to this day.
You had to knock, and you had to have a secret password.
I met a cleaning girl. Knock. The gym is actually still open. It's a training studio called The Pit. And I have a cleaning lady who's just met me over there, and she texted me a picture from the top of the mountain. And that's where the GPS center. And she's like, I don't know how to get there, man. I'm like, no one can get here.
Didn't you have to have a code to even get in the driving gate?
Pound 3535, you know?
Dude,
yeah.
If anybody wants to go there, you guys got the secret password. You guys can get into the pit.
But what was cool is I remember Larry telling me a story where like the news came out and they were like, how the hell are you guys getting voted best gym, and you guys don't even have a sign? And I want to say after 6 or 8 months of us being in business, we were on a wait list. And I remember calling Larry like, hey dude, I think we got to put a wait list on. Like these classes are full. The gym's kind of small. And he's like, it might be a good idea. So we did it, and it was like the coolest thing that ever happened to us because we were like the only gym, probably even to this day, that's like, hey man, we can't let you in. And then it kind of became like a speakeasy where like everybody wanted to be a part of this gym that they couldn't be a part of. And now if you guys go back, you look at our gyms now, I mean, our gyms are pretty badass. You still go back to this gym, and it's like,
it's a dungeon.
It's a closet of
where there's like lizards and stuff in there. It's like Jurassic Park.
It's
meets your grandma's garage.
People love that place. People still talk about this place. It's not like Marina. It's like, damn, people love this gym. But it kind of took off from there. So that was 2013. So now we're here 5.5 years later. It's been super cool to be a part of the growth of this company for sure. I know we're going to talk about it down the road, but I mean, there's been a lot of speed bumps for all of us. And I know Larry took a lot of licks before I got involved, but I've been taking a lot of licks the last 5.5 years too. So
we've been wearing them together. So it's been like a 5-on-2 fight a lot of the time. So
it's been rough, but yeah, man, that's how we met. It's how we got started. And
a lot of the stuff you said, like you and I talk about this stuff all day. So this podcast could go on for like 12 hours. But even just from what you had said about the passion aspect. So there's a lot of people that'll say, especially now, is, you know, social media is promoting entrepreneurship in so many different ways. So you've got different people that have different aspects on it. And I think that's one of the things that we love about it is there isn't one way to get there. But you'll hear certain people that say you have to be passionate about what you do. And then you've got other people that are, you know, promoting sales or the stock market, things like that. Go, I don't love what I do, but I love making money. I love providing for my family. So there's those two different aspects. You know, I personally feel that you don't need to make a connection between the two, that you can just want to make a living and do something. But I feel that there's a huge advantage in so many different ways when you are truly passionate about something. And when you're truly passionate about it, I feel that it consumes your thoughts all day. Like literally I was laying in bed and I woke up and I started taking notes. Yeah, you know, you're going to have to hear about them, but literally like it'll wake me up with new ideas. And I don't think that happens to the guy in the stock market. You know, I think that he can still execute. He can still do it with excellence, and he can provide an income. He can make money, but I don't think that level comes from it. So, you know, from both of us doing kind of the same thing and you hitting on it earlier, I kind of wanted to hear your take on what you think as far as those two aspects.
It's really funny that you just brought that up because I woke up around 3 this morning on my own, like before my alarm went off. And I had sent you the videos yesterday of a location we're looking to move, and it hit me. I'm like, I can't even put the coolers up there. How am I going to put the coolers up there? And I put the clothes, and I couldn't go back to sleep because I'm thinking in my head, how am I going to lay this damn gym out? Like now I got to take walls down. I don't want to take this. And so, yeah, I agree with you. I think, I personally still think the best form of success is chasing something that you just genuinely love doing. And I tell people this, this is my analogy of it is, if you love flowers, be the best florist in your entire city, in the country, in the state, or whatever it is. And you're going to make money. The money always follows. And I think the problem with what social media is portraying is everyone thinks it comes in a day. And so I bring it up Larry all the time, his story. It's like, people might see the cars and the stuff now, but homie took 11 years to get here. This shit did not happen
12, don't cheat me that year.
12 years. Yeah, I'm sorry. I mean, you know, all of us, it takes so much time and so much effort for all of us to make it to wherever we are. Even like the basketball players, you know, yeah, you might get in the NBA when you're 20, but you've been playing since you were 5.
Right. Yeah. I mean, I think that, like you even saying too, is being passionate about it, being the best at what you do. You know, a lot of people go into something and then it comes down to standards too, as a lot of people get knocked down like you had many times. And I kind of want to hit on some of those after this, but when you get knocked down a certain amount of times, you know, as a kid, you're like, I could be the president of the United States. I want to be an astronaut. Yeah. And then by the time you're 30, you're like, working at this car wash ain't that bad. You're kind of like, hey, you know, I'm good. And really, when you talk to people, it's because every time they get knocked down, those standards or their own personal expectations keep getting a notch dropped on a rung after a rung after a rung. And that's with their personal life and business and everything else. So I think one of the hard things is like you said, is not only pursuing what you're passionate about, but continuing to have that level for yourself. Is no matter who opens next door, who comes into town, how that everything changes, how you keep that level of expectation. I want to be a 10 all the time. And I think that hits on what you had said before, which was the pit, the gyms. We didn't know what we were doing. You and I were similar in that way, where we loved fitness. We loved what we were doing. We invested in that heavily. We didn't know shit about marketing. We didn't know dick about sales. We didn't know anything. Even the stuff that I thought I knew from being in the industry just didn't apply to these new this new clientele that we were serving. So we were really very uneducated when it came to those areas. But the one thing that we knew was we wanted to just provide a better service, be better, have a better community, better results, better training, and our standards were a 10. We're going to be the best. You're not going to go to another place and say you got a better workout. You're not going to go to a place and say you got better follow-up or better results. And I think that kind of ended up being the magic sauce, was just the investment in it, being passionate about our trade, and the rest of the stuff came after.
I want to say we got lucky that the two of us, I mean, I've seen you teach classes and the way you are with people, and again, I'm super modest, but like, I just know I'm the best trainer. Like, I know I'm a badass trainer, and I know I didn't know how to do group training, and I ended up learning really quick that I'm actually really good at it. And so I think what really dragged us along through this ride, including Nadia, is we were all really good at that one thing that kept people coming back. And it didn't matter about the sales process or the marketing or any of that shit. I mean, I know for me personally, that Moreno location, we didn't do marketing for 2 years. Never had to, but we provided the one thing that you always hit on is, it's a good service. We're still going to have the best classes, the best training. And I think we strive for that. And I think what now is we've been able to come up with some of the other things that we were lacking in. And so now some of these new locations, they might not have to have the best trainer in the world, but they have so many other tools that they're able to succeed from right off the bat. And you know, Pasadena is proving that case right there, you know?
Yeah, now we're getting people that don't have a fitness background at all.
100%.
Never worked at a gym, never been a part of the fitness industry at all, and they're able to open with great success. But yeah, I think that theirs is still passing forward what, you know, you and I had talked a lot when the company was growing, and everybody now sees this overnight success story. So everybody's like, oh my gosh, like, we've seen, you know, I get all these DMs all the time or all these messages of your rapid growth recently. Like, this wasn't rapid. There hasn't been a single minute. I wish I could give you a cool story where like this was the precipice and I had to make these decisions and then we just came over the hill and it was success. There hasn't been a moment of rapid success. It's just been gradual and continual success because we're working towards it. But as you had said, is figuring out those other things has allowed us to take what was working and allowing us to grow, but not as rapidly. And then you implement something and get better at it. And now you grow a little faster. And then you figure out something else and you grow a little faster. So ours is we started with our passion and the overall service, which in entrepreneurship now, because again, it's so mainstream, is I think people are switching it around, is I want to make money. So money's here. Now I'll figure this out. And I think that's a key flaw in people's mindset right now, is the service and what you're doing should be first, and then the money comes. And I think that if they do it that way, then it at least gets you going. It allows you to have some success, and then you figure the rest out, and then you just grow faster. You just offer a better service.
I still think that's the problem with social media, because that's what it portrays.
Oh, for sure.
And the reason people might think that you have rapid growth is because that's what they've seen recently.
Right.
Like they haven't seen, and you know, I had this talk with you when we were talking about the podcasting. I'm like, I think the good part of the story is that you fucking struggled.
Right.
Like it was struggle. It was hard. It wasn't easy. And that's not what social media sees. They see, and that's the problem I feel that we're all gonna face, you know, 10 years down the road, is everybody wants to be an entrepreneur now. And everybody wants to run the business, and everybody wants to make all the money, and everyone wants to have all the nice stuff. But everybody wants it today.
Right.
And they're not gonna put the work in.
Yeah. I mean, I think that it's being able to portray your losses, and also the big misconception is there's so many people now that are in entrepreneurship for a profit, where before as an entrepreneur you owned a business. Now I'm in the business of entrepreneurship, and I'm selling educational classes and workshops and things like that. And there's nothing against any of that. Is, you know, those things are fine. But the problem is when you're marketing something, you're not marketing the negative things. So if I'm somebody that's selling a class, I'm not going to say how I just absolutely epically failed yesterday. Like, I'm just not going to, because that's not good for my brand. I got to be the guy who's got it figured out. So while they're still providing a service, and I respect that, I do think that it, like you said, is that social media perception, while it makes them money and it still provides a service to those people that buy the book or do whatever, I'm sure they still take something from it. It does create this very untrue perspective of entrepreneurship, and those people is they are not, we know a lot of them, they are not that smart. They do not have it all figured out. Their life's just as big a mess as anybody else's. You talk to them, they got relationship problems, they got life problems. A lot of them, even no matter how much money they make, they still got some sort of financial problem, whether they're trying to acquire something or do something else. So that's kind of the big point of the podcast. And when you and I would talk, is like, I think that's a key part for new entrepreneurs to understand. There are so many that won't take the leap because they don't feel smart enough, because they're not that guy who's got it all figured out. Yeah. Well, homie, that motherfucker don't got it figured out either. So let me educate you. Like, you're good. Roll with it, because that fool don't got all the answers either. Yeah. So I think that the way that you portray it, and I think that other people that are transparent about the realities of entrepreneurship, if it deters somebody, that person shouldn't be an entrepreneur anyways. So it did them a service. So if somebody goes, oh man, it's that hard, I don't want to do it, I'm happy that happened, because it just saved you years of figuring that out, because you ain't cut out for it. But those other people, it'll actually give them a stepping stone to go, I am good enough and I can figure it out.
Yeah. You know, one thing that I think, I mean, I don't know if I could totally attest this, but I don't think that anybody gets it right away. I think the best part about business is we learn through experience.
Right.
There ain't a book, or you're not going to take no one's class or anything and learn all the shit that I've learned over these last years. Like, it just doesn't happen.
Right. And I think the other thing is, again, like we had hit on earlier, is there's so many different ways to tackle this, you know? And so you'll talk to somebody and they go, this is what I was told. Here's how you approach this. Here's how. There is no how-to for every scenario. There's a how-to for that person in that situation. You're a different person. You think differently. You operate differently. You'll hear people now, a big thing is wake up at 3:30 in the morning, 4 in the morning. There are absolute benefits to that for the right person. I think they had said that Einstein slept 11 hours a night. He did that because he realized that he had better cognitive function, and he came up with his greatest ideas with rest. So for him, as waking up at 4 a.m. was counterproductive. So it's take all this information from this entrepreneur, this person that you respect, that person, then ask yourself, how does it apply to me? Because there's too many people trying to do what somebody else did and think that that's just going to automatically apply to them in their business.
I mean, I would say we both, I mean, I know I thought it was super cool to grind 20 hours a day. And,
right.
I like Gary Vee a lot, but that's one of the things I don't admire about him is he brags about working 20 hours a day. And I know he's got a family and kids and he's got these businesses. And to me, that's not cool. Yeah. What's cool is figuring out how to do this shit and only work 8 hours a day.
Right. And I think that, for him might be, if that's what he loves, which he obviously does, then great. If that's what you love. But like you said is, one of the things I want to hit on after this too is kind of how you've made some of those transitions with your family as well. But, that's what it really comes down to is there are a lot of people that do it not because they love it, like he may. They do it because they think it's cool. And for me was almost an opposite end was I felt a heavy weight, and still to some extent do now, of if I'm going to be the leader, I need to be the hardest worker. I need to be the best trainer. I need to be the person to write the sales manual. And I need to be the one that clocks in first and clocks out last. And if any other owner or staff member sees me, they go, maybe I don't agree with everything he does, but that fool puts in the work and I respect what he's doing. Yeah. And so I think that was a benefit for me and a downfall because it became my way of thinking is you have to don't go on a vacation. They'll see you resting. You can't rest. You never rest. You work all day. In your sleep, you wake up and you do push-ups, and then you write a book. So it was like just the mindset became very challenging to keep up with, where I'm like, is somebody else working longer than me? Yeah. Oh, I see one of the other owners is learning a new dietetic approach I don't know, and I'm on, online trying to research it. So I mean, we can kind of skip ahead to that question, but one of the things that I wanted to be able to ask was, you had a lot of that same mentality, and now I see videos of you, as of a few months ago, weekly at swim practice with the kid. Yeah. You guys vacation a lot. You've made this shift from the 20-hour a day hustle to still working, but finding more of a balance. I personally don't think there's ever a true full balance in business, and if you have a successful business in life, but you found a much better balance. So I wanted to kind of see, for anybody in that position, what's up? What do we got up there? Oh, yeah. So we got, look at that. Dad of the Year. He's got the mug.
I'm trying to be Dad of the Year. That's my goal.
So how did you help find some of that?
I think what I got lucky about is I'm with you. I had the same work ethic, like my first job was a paper boy when I was 6, so I could buy a skateboard. Like I've always been hustling. I always had a job. And what I think one of my better skill sets is time management. Like, I just don't waste time. I mean, I don't even check Instagram until on my drive home, which you shouldn't be texting and driving and doing all that.
Yeah, you definitely don't.
But I'm so good at this point of what in my career, I guess, is when I'm in work mode. I don't dick around. I don't waste time. It's like I just focus on those hours. And I had this talk with someone the other day that I'm more productive in 8 hours now than I was in 16 hours maybe 4 years ago. Right. I get way more done, and I just figured it out. And I told someone this story yesterday too. Thank God I didn't have a family when I opened these gyms.
Right.
There's no way.
But I also think that for you too, as we had talked, I don't know, maybe a year, 2 years ago, and you were running into this problem that was going to be coming up of how do I figure these things out? And not only do I think you became more efficient, but one of the things that we decided was new strategies to where your goals don't have to change, your approach has to change. Yeah. So what you were saying is, I still want to be able to grow with this. I still love the brand. I want to be able to have these gyms, but how do we figure it out? And you and I sat down and came up with a strategy how you could partner with people and how you could bring great things to the table for them as well as the community and the clients, but not have to be the sole person. So I think there's a lot of people that think that they're choosing between one or the other, my family or my goals. Yeah. And really is, as a good entrepreneur, you are always essentially one thing, and that's a problem solver. So if you're a good enough problem solver and a good enough entrepreneur, you can have both. You just have to become more efficient with your time, and you have to figure out a new strategy. How are you going to get there? It may have to be a different path.
Yeah, I mean, I remember these conversations because I think a lot of my problems in the beginning were as I was trying to do everything. I wanted to be like, I was like, dude, I still brag about it. Like, yeah, dude, I cleaned shit off the toilet at Marina the other day because you know what? It was on there and I didn't want to see it there. And my wife's like, oh, stop telling everyone you do that. Like, no one cares. I'm like, no, I'm trying to show that I do.
I think people do care. I think that's respect is a big thing. Is a lot of times is people have seen and they'll say, oh, Tommy didn't execute that right or mess that up, but you don't hear anybody complain about it. And I tell them the reason nobody's upset about it is because you are somebody that does things with genuine intentions. You're always transparent about things. So at the end of the day, people respect you. So those things is they love seeing, and that's how you built that respect, is they love to see you'll still do what needs to be done. Yeah. It doesn't mean you do it every day, but the willingness to do anything that it takes in your business, people respect that. And I think that when they respect you, they don't nitpick those small things. And I think that's been a huge benefit for you as well.
Well, one of the other things I remember in our conversation was as me wanting to try to do all these things. And, I do it with you now. When you're telling me you're busy, I'm like, dude, hire some help, get some people in here. It's hard for us to do it. And I think that's the hardest thing for all of us. We're crazy control freaks. Yeah. And we want to be in control of everything. And I remember your conversation with me was develop your staff. If you develop your staff, you don't have to worry about this stuff. Yep. And so I've really spent the last 2 years developing, head trainers, the trainers to teach the trainers, GMs, salespeople. I mean, we've had multiple conversations where, I didn't know how to manage a salesperson. And now I could manage all 5 of them from Cabo. Yeah. Within 5 minutes of being on the computer, and I'm like, hey, dude, what's going on? So I think a big part of it is one, time management, but being able to develop your staff. And all of us have staff. Every entrepreneur has staff that you got to develop, and you've had to do it with me. Imagine if you didn't spend time helping develop me, then I have half the locations that aren't doing good and we suck. And now I'm horrible for the brand, you know?
I think that's a huge thing for most entrepreneurs is not only are they control freaks, but like for me is people ask all the time, why don't you sell? You'd never have to work again. You know, I know you get hit up. My buddy has this investment bank. They said they hit you up. You don't respond. Not only are entrepreneurs control freaks, but most of them, they fucking love what they've built. They love it. And I've told people is if I sold this and I woke up, maybe for a year I could travel and do stuff and be okay. But I would feel so empty afterwards because this is something that fulfills me. And this is something that I love. And it's something that I feel like this is my baby. I built this. This is my life's work, my passion project. So for those people is handing off control. That is like a newborn baby and you're handing it to a stranger is like, this is my baby. Like, I don't trust you with that. I don't know you. Like, did you wash your damn hands? Like, so I feel like that's how I am with every person that comes into the business is, you know, you have a hard time, but that's a necessary part of growth and something where you get burned, you have people that do you wrong. And every time that happens is you'll see an entrepreneur reach a certain point where they get to choose between growth and figuring out how to get past that or allowing that to be their new reality where they just bring everything in and go, I'm never hiring that position again. I'll just do it. And you see those businesses that can never grow and that person that never has time for their kids or anything else because that person did me wrong. I'll never get done wrong again. And I'm going to just do it all myself. So I think that, you know, you've been burned. We've all been burned. And so, you know, what's a way that you've kind of been able to get past that stuff, like as far as your mindset and as far as what is it that that allows you to get to that next level and not just keep doing it yourself?
Yeah, I mean, and again, these are so super cliche things to say, but it's mindset. Like, I have this, like, me losing everything, and I know you've been in that situation too. Losing everything and having to start over has given me this mindset. I'm like, take it. Yeah. I mean, even in my head now, like, not that I ever want this to happen, but like, fucking whatever. Someone take my gyms. I'll be fine. I'll make it back. Like I have this winning mindset that I will never lose. And even the days that I do lose, I'm gonna wake up tomorrow and it's gonna be good, and I'll be right back at it. And it allows me. It's resilient. Yeah. And I think all entrepreneurs, getting punched in the mouth or having whatever it is, we all have bad days. I know personally some of the people that I talk to in our business, our company even, they get bogged down by negative things and it affects them for like a week. Yeah. And that's a fucking downside of
their bounce back. They don't got a rapid bounce back. You got to be quick to adapt, quick to bounce back. Mine is kind of, I relate to you in the same fact that we had, when we reached rock bottom, lost our home, lost our cars, crying in the bathroom, we had said, look, it's just stuff. And I remember the conversation vividly. I don't remember what I wore yesterday, but I remember this conversation. I remember like the smell in the air, like very clearly. We said we could lose it all again and it wouldn't matter. And it's just stuff. You can always get the stuff back. Yeah. So while I agree with that, the one thing that's helped give me an additional driver is, even though that I don't care if I lose this stuff, is I'm supporting my mom. Yeah. I have, and I've told you, we had a conversation and you said, dude, you're a dick to me lately. And I told you, I said, you're making these mistakes. And I feel personally responsible for you making sure your kid's livelihood, your wife, so for me is, I tell everybody that my motivation is double-edged. It's a double-edged sword. Yeah. Where most people are chasing, I'm being chased more than chasing anymore. Is I've achieved certain things that I wanted, more things than I probably ever dreamed when I was young. Now what's chasing me is making sure that those nightmares of seeing my partners fail and their kids not have money to go to school and do these other things, those things wake me up in the morning and I go, nope, failure ain't an option. Like, get your ass up and make sure this stuff happens. So I think that that's something too. I mean, where you are now, do you feel that's a big driver for you? Or do you feel that you're more motivated by new things that you're trying to reach for?
Yeah, I mean, it's good when you say things like that, because I'm sure like a lot of the rest of the company wants to hear stuff like that. But that's how I feel. I've got 50 staff members. Right. Like, if I fuck this up, then how are they going to support themselves or pay for their rent, So, I mean, it's really all of us being on that same page, developing those teams and knowing that, like, if any one of us really blow it, it could blow it for all of us. Really.
Right. Yeah. I mean, having it as a team for sure. And I mean, the big thing is you and I, it's very matter of fact. Like, well, yeah, of course, like we care that our staff has jobs. But I think that there are entrepreneurs now that are looking, or future ones that follow someone else that go, it doesn't matter. Like, that's a person in business. This is business. It's cut and dry. Yeah. And I think for you and I, we agree on that fact that it isn't. And a big driver for me is those people, each position matters. It doesn't mean that it's not still business. And if they don't perform, that they won't have a job forever. Yeah. But it does mean that I care, and that those things are a driver for me, that I don't easily make those decisions. And I've noticed that some of the best people in business, they do give a shit. You know, giving a shit can go a long way, is people can feel that. And again, it doesn't mean you got a secured job because I care. You know, kindness isn't weakness. But I think that if somebody shows up to work and knows that you worry each day about their livelihood, they just intrinsically want to do a better job for you.
I hate that business is business mentality. I fucking hate that.
Yeah.
Because it just means you could just dick everybody over and do whatever you want, and it doesn't matter. Business is business. So like I'm in that boat.
I always say that's the biggest dickhead business response, because it justifies it. It's like, I burned you so bad. Business is business. And now I feel better about it. Like, nah, bro. That's like, that was a dick move. Like, just say I was a dick and I wanted to make money, so I stepped on your back. I used you as a stepping stool to make me money and take it from you.
Yeah.
Just say the reality, but the reality hurts. The reality that you're a dick and that you didn't want to do the work needed, so you stepped on someone else, sounds way worse than business is business.
And it's very common. It's a very common business practice.
Right.
Just business is business. I mean, think about me. Well, we don't even got to get into our supplement company, but talk about getting burned.
Oh, yeah.
And everyone just thinks it's cool, like it's okay. And it's like, this is like the most messed up industry I've ever been a part of.
Yeah. I mean, I know that's a big thing so us talking about passion and going into things that we love, that's kind of what drove us into, you know, in your intro, I don't think I had mentioned that you're also a partner in Hardcore Nutrition too, the supplement line. When we went into that, it was, you know, you and I talking about how I had helped co-formulate products in the past, loved nutraceuticals. You had worked with all these brands, I'd worked with brands. We just loved the industry.
Yeah.
And so it was more of a passion project. And then it became something that was necessary for us to offer better products to our clients exclusively at our gyms. So it became something that aligned in many ways. But the big thing that killed us was getting into it and realizing how crooked the industry was, and how many people were creating products that cost them 12 cents to produce and sell them for $50. And essentially it's a bag of flour, and they know it, and they just wait until they get busted for it. So, you know, in those kind of situations, there's a lot of people that would say it's business, just keep making money. But for us, is we had to take the longer road to make sure that we provided a quality product. And I think that most people don't do that. And I've seen a lot of people lately talking on this, you know, and kind of see what your mindset is. But there's so many people that do things for today that hurt them tomorrow. And I think that with social media, it's allowing that to be seen more and more. So you see people that they promote something and they make money today, and it burns them down the road. So, I mean, like, what advice would you give to people that are trying to go down a journey like that in a crooked industry, or in a position where so many people are doing it? It's just, it's common. So I'm not the only one. Like, I'm with everybody else. And we could think of a few people on social media that did stuff that everyone else was doing, and then they get busted. Yeah, they get slammed for it. So what would be your advice to any of those people?
Yeah, I mean, it's tough, but I just really believe that there's like a couple things you could do for quick money, and none of them are good.
Right.
So let's put it like that.
Yeah.
I mean, it takes time to develop. You know, you don't want to sell yourself short. Something I take a lot of pride in is my integrity. I don't want to be a scumbag. And I've been in the fitness industry for over a decade, which is crazy to think that I've been doing this for over 10 years. And I would say I have a good reputation. I've never burned anyone. I've never done anybody dirty. And it's allowed me to grow my brand and myself. And that was one of my big reasons of wanting to do the supplement company. I was like, man, I'm friends with everyone. I'll get us in. We got this stuff. We're going to go to these expos. Again, it sounded way cooler at the time
than it was.
But I think it's just, there's no quick way to money.
And I think that's kind of the biggest thing right there is so many people today are looking for the quick dollar. And they're not looking 10 years down the road or 5 years down the road. Yeah. You and I both would not be here if we didn't do things the right way for the right reasons. Yeah. We've both made mistakes. We've still got things that we can work on. But all of our new locations come from our members or our staff, people that literally see every day what we do. So there's no hiding it. If we were doing things wrong, maybe some of them would still pay to be a member. Maybe some would keep a job because they get a paycheck. Yeah. There's no way they would go through and invest what it takes to open a location if they didn't believe in us and believe in what we're doing. So I think that's kind of the big thing goes back to doing things that you're passionate about and doing things for the right reason. Is you can do things another way and you can make $1 today, but you're stepping over $100 to pick up $1 right now. You know, is that $100 is further away. It's going to take you time, but if you do things the right way, eventually that's what's going to come your way.
Yeah. I mean, it's the longevity this is a career. I know it sounds weird to say that because it's like entrepreneurship, but it's still a career.
Right.
And so, yeah, I mean, you're developing a longevity for, I mean, we want to be doing this for a long time.
Yeah.
And it's not like I don't want to open up any business and make $1 million and sell it and then get in trouble down the road for being whatever.
Right.
I don't get into it.
Yeah, I think that, it even hits on kind of the same thing is when we started going through this journey and started reaching more success, I would have people that would hit me up and ask questions. So I took it as my opportunity and my obligation really to pay it forward and to try to drop some motivation or try to put my best foot forward and be the best version of myself, to be kind of somebody that could help somebody in a place that I never had. I never had anybody. The whole time people ask, who was your mentor? Who's somebody you looked up to? I never related to anybody. I literally didn't have one person that I was like, oh, I take from them. Nobody. It was just street stuff, and I would pick things here and there. And so I would post about my wins, my losses, and I was very transparent. And I got a lot of kickback from that. People are like, man, like you're showing too much of your life, or you're showing these things. And my goal was, I don't think anybody, whether they like or don't like the stuff that I portray, I don't think it ever comes off as braggadocio. Like, it's not, hey, this is what I've got. My goal every single day is to say, yes, this is what I got. Pay attention, because that's the only way that people pay attention. If you drive up in a van down by the river, ain't nobody listening to you about success. So you got to show them something, but I want to show them the wins and show them that it came from absolutely nothing. And what's crazy is, I did that and got heat for that forever, but did it because I felt that it was what I should do and felt like it's something that I took pleasure in, because I would get a message from someone that would say, hey, you know what? I was down today and you posted this and it really picked me up. I've got a guy that's out in San Diego that bought his first Lexus and sent me a screenshot of it recently, and I've got it saved in my phone, and it's like, dude, I've got our conversation from Instagram posted on my refrigerator. It motivated me every day. Stuff like that, that's very fulfilling to me, that I never had. And what's crazy is, had I not done that, even though I did that with no expectation of anything, it was just what I thought I should be doing, and because I enjoyed it, we get hit up all the time, and that's why we have a podcast, because people want to hear. And that's why we have a lot of our locations, because people understand who I am, and if they don't like me, they don't follow me. But they know that I'm not perfect. They know what I do and why I do it, and I think that it just led to good things. So yeah, it's looking down the long run and doing things for the right reasons and having integrity, and eventually, without expectation, it still usually ends up paying off.
Yeah, I think most of us follow you because we want to see you post things of your mom.
Dude,
the best.
Mom plays no games, bro. I mean,
she's
Panda
the best
Express,
person.
if you're watching right now, I deserve stock, all right? And 7-Eleven. Your girl's like the biggest advocate of the big gulp ever.
Yeah, it's tough with those posts because, you got, social media, you got all these people judging, and they're going to say this and that. And then you've got people that are maybe being motivated by it, or they're getting inspired. And so I tell it to everybody, like, I don't give a fuck. Like, don't complain about someone's post. Like, you just don't watch them.
Don't watch it.
Just don't watch them.
But I think that's what it takes for you too, is, maybe we'll pop up some of Tommy's modeling pictures, but we've got some. Tommy's always done. He's got
I revolutionized.
Oh, there we go. What up, Sherbert? Your boy had a meeting with Aquaman, and then he had some dessert. But what's funny is, when I saw these pictures back in the day, we would all joke with you about it, but you didn't care, and I like the pictures. Yeah. I think they're good. I took the pictures. I think that's something that will make or break a good entrepreneur. Is if you're that worried about what everyone thinks, go be a fucking ice cream man. Like, you'll make everybody smile. You'll make everybody happy. When you're in a business, everybody ain't going to love you. They're not going to like everything you have to say. So when I post something, like you said, of course there's going to be somebody that goes, I don't like him just because I don't like him. I don't like what he posts. And it would be so much easier to post nothing. But I also wouldn't have reached the people that I did reach. So you have to do things because you feel they're right. Stand behind it and just know.
Yeah.
I'm going to wear some heat for it. I'm going to be the guy wearing ice cream sherbet as boxers, and some people are going to clown, but I like it, and the people that appreciate it.
Yeah, people don't like everybody. Like, the coolest person that you might think is the coolest person ever is going to get, when you sometimes go on people's Instagrams, you see everyone's bashing them. Like, there's not everybody's going to love everybody, and that's just part of it. And I think you're right. It takes it takes a strong individual to not give a fuck about those things. I've never cared. Like, you've ragged on me the whole time, and that's why I can't wait till we talk about you. We're gonna get some of his pictures up here. But yeah, I never cared about it because I did these things, and honestly, I look back on it now, and it gave me what I was when I opened that first gym. I had a following, and people did look up to me, and I did inspire people. And now I only post really my family because no one cares about me anymore. But It was who I was at the time, and I don't want to feel like I'm too old and washed up. Like I could do that stuff again if I wanted, but I just don't. It's just not on my radar, and my focus is these businesses and these gyms, and not what I'm portrayed as by
social media.
Yeah.
But I think that, what a lot of people don't realize is how you respond in any situation is how you're going to respond in the next situation that correlates with it. So you'll talk to somebody and they'll say, I don't feel comfortable posting stuff on social media. I don't like to because some people don't like it. They're going to say stuff that's bad. Okay. So now when you go to open a business, how are you going to market your business? Are you going to market in a way now this could be beneficial, but someone might not like it.
Yeah.
You're going to hire somebody and try to train them in a certain way, but people won't like how you trained them. If you can't go with your gut and do what's right, there's always going to be a way that you're going to fall down because you're not standing behind anything. You're not standing on any strong foundation. You have to just go, this is who I am. I wear it. I'm the guy that has to walk into business meetings with a mohawk and a sleeve, and I'm always wearing joggers. And everybody always said for years is I was being tested where they would say, this is how, when you reach this point, this is how people show up to business meetings. This is what they do. And I'm not going to lie, it comes in your head and you start questioning yourself. And one, you go, do I belong here? You start going, because I don't wear that. Or two is, should I be that person? Should I change? And I think the best people are the ones that never do and just realize from the early days, keep being who you were, do what you want to do. I remember when I was young, I told my mom that I wanted to wear a tuxedo to school. I was in like second grade or something. And I said, I want to wear a tux to school. And she's like, kids don't wear tuxedos to school. You're going to get made fun of. I said, I don't care. I want to wear a tuxedo to school. So mom got me suited and booted, and your boy was fly, bro. I'm talking just the honeys didn't know what to do with your boy in his tuxedo. And of course, everybody made fun, and everyone's like, what's this kid doing in a penguin suit? But I didn't care. And I've always been that person. And so it brought me back to who I am and just saying, I'm just going to keep doing it. This is just who I am. I'm going to keep doing it. And I think that translates into business and everything else that you do.
I think that's what's cool about business today is you don't know who has money and you don't know who's got clout and you don't know because you could be, I always look at myself. I always look the same. I wear Chucks every day and a hat, and I'll be at the airport working and I'm like, some old dude in a suit might look at me like, who's this scrub over here?
Yeah.
Like they don't know what I do and no one knows what you do. Like, yeah, you could roll up with your shoes in a nice car and they're like, drug dealer.
Right.
Like it's gotta be drug dealer.
That's the general conception.
Yeah, what is he, Yeah. But yeah, I mean, I think 2019 coming in 2019, it's changed the game on how I told you about my friend JJ. I mean, this dude has been he helped bring the nights to the Vegas. He's helped bring, he's done things, casinos and nightclubs. He wears a hat, Jordans, to every meeting. This dude shows up into a real legit business meeting, like $1 billion meeting.
I love it.
Looking like he just woke up out of bed in a full jumpsuit.
I had posted a picture of one of the GoHard shirts, and it was mine that said felon to fortune. And I said, I'm about to go into a business meeting. I'm wearing a shirt that says I'm a felon. I have a mohawk and a sleeve. And I got a bunch of responses that were funny. And one that really stood out is it says, the guy that's wearing a business suit's working for the guy in sneakers. And I loved that one liner. And I'm like, it's funny because you don't think of that, but in today's day and age with tech companies, all sorts of other startups, and this passion for entrepreneurship, they are people that are pursuing passion, not necessarily business. So they do just dress how they dress.
Yeah.
And so it is pretty funny as you start to see those people. And yeah, you never know. Every time I look at someone, it's like, you could be a billionaire or live on your mom's couch.
No
and
idea.
Love it. Yeah.
I love it too. Because I really makes you have to. I mean, this should be like this all the time, but you treat everybody the same. And I remember I used to wear a suit when I was doing real estate stuff, and I felt like people looked at me different, like more respectable. And I was 23.
Right.
I'm like,
well, I think when you're young, you always think if you dress up, you're always trying to gain more respect because you're young. I think as you get older, you stop trying to please people, and you're just like,
you don't care.
Yeah, you're just like whatever. So out of all this stuff, we've hit on some of the things that you felt were attributes to the business. What would you say was your greatest strength as far as getting the business to where it is?
I've had a few mentors help me along the way, and you know what they all have told me is I have like this really good ability to bring good people into my life. And when they say that, I think about like I'm surrounded by, I've had the same group of friends since I was 5.
Yeah.
And then the friends I brought along the way have been my friends for a long time. I'm not like Drake, no new friends, but
Yeah.
my friends stay there for a long time. I somehow find
Even though your friends did tell me it's hard to get brought into this circle, like I almost felt like I needed to wear like the Letterman or something. Like I was being brought in.
even like look at like we went on a week-long trip, you know, to the Dominican. We're actually a month pregnant here. We didn't know. We thought we were gonna get Zika.
Oh, I love it.
But yeah, I think I don't know what it is. I've always had this ability to draw people in. That's why I even think in the fitness industry, I ended up being friends with a lot of these top guys and girls and promoters and things like that. So I think that it's just like I call it the gravitational pull of positivity. Like people feel that attraction and they want to be around you. And I think that's how my staff feels is they want to be around. And I say that about Larry, even like, you know, sometimes his posts are whatever, it's about cars, whatever. But I'm like, Larry's actually really cool when you hang out with him. Like he might portray this person on social media, but he's like the fun guy to hang out with. He'll do the splits. He'll say jokes. He's a very charismatic person. And I think that's kind of the quality that honestly, even I think most of us owners, you know, Art is that guy. Art is like one of those guys that we attracted each other and he's just been like, even the things that Art does, he's still like that guy. He's so cool.
Yeah.
Everyone wants to hang out with Art. Art's the guy, you know?
I mean, it also could be that you're prettier than most of my ex-girlfriends. I mean, that might have drew some people.
I mean, that's a pretty looking picture right there.
Yeah, yeah.
It's everybody.
Oh, it looks good. So, okay, so you feel that being positive and that led to drawing positive people into your life?
Yeah, being positive, integrity. I think I'm a no bullshit person. I mean, everybody knows. I don't say a lot of compliments. I don't sugarcoat shit. And I think when I was younger, that was a downfall because people just thought I was mean. But as I've gotten older, I think people respect it and go, dude, this guy.
And I think they really appreciate when they get one. I had put on my Instagram story, this dude complimented my physique recently, and your boy I put it up there, and the best part is everybody responded and said, it's so true. I've never got a compliment. Him saying that you look that good is the best. He's never said that about anyone. So your boy, like, I framed it up. I've got it next to like my Inc. 5000 award, and it's like Tommy's screenshot, but.
I mean, I really, really did it though, because I had hit you up with some bad news right after. So I was like, I warmed him up and then hit him with the bad news. He's like, no, it's all good.
You're totally taking me off of my high, bro. I made myself my own plaque with that compliment.
But it's how we all are, you know, like when you know that someone's genuine about a compliment,
it means a lot more.
Yeah. And I was genuine about it. I mean, you look better now than I think even when you're competing days. But I think people respect that. And yeah, my staff might not say, talk to my wife. She thinks, doesn't matter what she does. She's like, well, you know, you didn't notice I did any of these things. I'm like, it's just the way I'm wired. I only look for the things that need to be done.
Right.
I look for things.
But I think that's something that you and I have talked about a lot, that we relate on, that a lot of, I would say, employee mindset people don't, is I'll get all the time, everybody from owners to employees or even clients, give me effort, give me an A for effort, and I tell people all the time, I can't pay my bills with effort, like I'm not wired that way. Is I get praise when I provide excellence. Yes. When I do a great job, people say great job. When I fail, people say, fix it, you failed. That's life. And the reality is people, because they're under this umbrella of an employer, and that employer is taught to tell them, Tommy, you did really good trying. We lost that account. We're all going to probably lose our jobs, but you're such a good trier. Like, you failed in the best way anyone could fail. You're like the best loser.
You're a good trier.
You're the best loser out of all the losers. Like, you're so good. Give me a hug. Let's go into a safe place. You and I are just not that way. And I tell people, I tried over the last, X amount of years to, everyone would say, just go in there and give more compliments. I will give you a compliment when you have earned a compliment. I will tell you have done well when you do well. When you have done bad, I'm going to say, bad job. I don't dwell on it. I'm not mean. I'm not negative, but I'm going to tell you that wasn't good. Let's fix it. Let's move on. It's not a mean thing. It's just, that's the reality of life, and it's a job. So I think that, it's one of those things where everybody wants a pat on the back. And I think that's a downfall, is they think they want it, but it's even, and maybe they do, but it's not what they need. Everybody wants a participation trophy, but that doesn't do anybody any good.
Yeah.
Earn the fucking first place trophy. Throw that other piece of shit in the garbage. That thing doesn't mean anything. So that's kind of my mentality, is I'm not mean. I don't harp on negative things, but I'll give out a few more personal compliments than Tommy probably will, but along the same lines is it's earn it if you want it.
Yeah. I mean, I've spent the last couple of years trying to do that with staff, you know, saying a lot more nice things. But yeah, I'm the same boat. It's like I expect excellence. When I walk into a room, I look at what can I fix?
Right.
When I look at the situation, how can I fix it? How can I make a problem solver? And I would think that everybody thinks that way, but it's taken me years, and we've talked about this. You have to realize that not everybody is like that. And so you have to take a step back sometimes and go, not everybody's going to come in and be,
right.
I noticed the toilet paper was out. I'm going to replace it on my own. I got it. Don't worry about it.
Yeah. I mean, I think that realizing that is good, but also not changing your expectations that's what I require, you know? And so that's mine where what's really funny is I had a few conversations with key players over just like the last 48 hours. And these were people that were almost like my diffusers. They would come in after I would tell people what the expectations are. And they would go in and be like, it's okay. Like, you know, I know he wants that, but his expectations are high, but we're going to do our best. Blah, blah. Those people came to me and go, it's so funny. I feel exactly like those are the expectations. And you're really not crazy for like, that is what the market requires and those things are needed. But I think that to be the person leading, especially in a competitive industry, you should be the guy that seems a little crazy. You should be the guy that seems like your expectations are too high and that it's not feasible. The workload's too heavy. If you're not doing that, you're very likely not at the leading and cutting edge of something. You really have to have those expectations. So I think that that's just something that people get used to, and they have to keep those standards and say, it's okay that people say, you're asking too much of me. This is, you're crazy. You don't give enough compliments. Like, earn it. Let's get some work done and let's kill it.
The Steve Jobs of fitness.
I don't
Steve
really.
Jobs. We saw the movie together, actually.
Yeah. Oh, you're saying because he was probably more of a dick than I.
Well, I mean, his mentality was just you know, he expected excellence, and he got a lot of pushback from staff, but he created like probably one of the most revolutionary companies of like our generation. You know, it's changed the world.
Yeah, I think that, you know, the big thing too is like you would just hit on is it's innovation, and that's another thing that I wanted to hit on with you since you're a part of what we're doing is so many people, especially say fitness. It's so incestuous. Everyone's just, I'm just going to do what you do what he does. We're all doing the same thing. Especially if you look at group fitness, everyone's doing the same thing. Yeah. And so what we had started on a journey on years ago was really trying to do what everyone had said years ago is it's personal training in a group setting. Any real trainer knows, no, it isn't. Like, I don't train a private client doing push-ups and sit-ups. Like, I utilize equipment, I do certain things. It allows me to modify around injuries, target muscles in a different way. So we went on this journey to try to figure out how to truly bridge that gap. And now we have, you know, 4 patents pending on equipment you'll only see at our locations. We have a visual aid technology that's patent pending as well. A lot of other things that are in the works. And those were things that nobody asked for. Nobody in the industry was saying you should do that. There were no clients saying, where's our T-bar row? Like, where's this? Most of the clients don't know. I think the big thing is when you're an innovator and when you're trying to be the best at what you do, you don't wait for anybody to tell you what to do. You're the expert. You go do it. Nobody was asking for products that Steve Jobs was making. Yeah. You know, he was making stuff nobody even knew they wanted. You go, holy crap, I didn't know that I wanted this, that I could push these buttons and have all these icons and do all this stuff. No one asked for it because they weren't able to think of those kind of things. So I think that, you know, for us doing that, it's been an exciting time. But, you know, I wanted to get your take on kind of the experience with that and kind of where it started to where it's at now as far as the gyms.
Yeah, I mean, it's funny because I had a member complain about one of the gyms, and they've been a member since the old one. They're like, this gym is so nice. You guys don't even know what it's like. And yeah, I mean, we've all started. I mean, I remember coming to your gym for the first time, how dirty and nasty it was. And I'm like, dude, this place is bad. You know, I don't even think you had cleaners.
And I loved it at that time. And, I was like doing push-ups with lizards and in cobwebs.
Well, that's what we had that mentality that we thought it could be like that. And I know you've had to fold on a lot of things, and even myself, you know, I mean, we've got AC now, and we've got all these things that we agreed that that's just not who we are. And if you don't want to be with us, no. But no, we've had to change and, you know, evolve. And yeah, the equipment thing, I mean, the worst call you get is when Larry hits you up and says, hey, I got an idea. Well, we're going to remodel the entire gym.
It's the best and the worst because the ideas always pan out, but they never pan out easily. It always requires a pretty steep learning curve.
Like, dude, I just moved 2 months ago. He's like, yeah, but this is going to be great.
Yeah.
All
The
you see
idea
is,
guy, you don't want him ringing you up at midnight.
Yeah, you are the idea guy. But yeah, I mean, a lot of this stuff is cool. And you know, I have this talk with, I actually love every gym, not our gyms, but I mean, all the other gyms. I have a respect for anybody that can get someone off the couch and go do fitness, because that's what I genuinely love is fitness.
Right.
But I always praise those gyms, and I'll say the things that they do good. And then I always circle back and go, this is why we're so much better though. Because we do this, this, and this, and this, and you can't get that anywhere else. And so I give you a lot of praise to maybe not to yourself, but to everybody else. Is you do come up with a lot of ideas. You're an idea guy. You come with a lot of great things, and it's allowed us to take this silly little, I call it a silly little boot camp, because that's what it was. We had TRX and some colored dumbbells and just some silly shit, and now it's like a full-on legit gym in a group setting. It's crazy.
Yeah. No, I mean, it has been really crazy to watch it evolve. And like you said, it's hard from my end too, because as an entrepreneur, you know, my ideas were always at the forefront. If we're not moving forward, we're being passed. And that's just my mentality all the time. Is one of the sayings that I hate the most is, if it's not broke, don't fix it. I hate that saying, because I think in business that is poison, absolute poison. If it's not broke, it's going to be soon. Someone else is already figuring out a solution. Yours is broke forever and you're out of business. Yeah. Make that a new saying. Let's see if we can put that on a shirt. But for me, is I'm always moving forward. The hard thing is even with other entrepreneurs, partners, other people that own the gyms, is that rate of speed and that type of mentality is very hard to keep up with. And even if you embrace it, you're still like, damn, it's a struggle. Every time I roll something new out, it's brand new. Now it's a brand new type of program. It's brand new equipment. It's a brand new layout of a gym. Everything that we do is evolving so quickly. So you used to, back in the day, there was a lot of pushback. Now you're like the one to keep up the best. What do you think has made it so that you're able to change that mindset and have this much faster rate of development and adapting to these changes?
Yeah. Well, I think that's where I've actually become a really good asset for you with the other owners, is because I would tell them, like, yeah, we would have a lot of pushback, but honestly, this is kind of the way it goes. You know, I mean, we're growing fast, and, you know, I would say 10 or 11 of the gyms were before the franchise rolled out. So, you know, it's a hard learning curve. You're trying to take people that have been doing kind of their own thing and saying, nah, you can't do that no more. And it's been proven, because I'll go tell some of my partners, hey, don't do this, this, and this. I'm telling you it's going to happen. Of course they don't listen.
Right.
I'm like, hey man, dude, Larry did the same thing to me. I remember I used to tell Larry, I'll never have anybody quit my gym. My community is different than yours. You don't understand. No one's ever going to quit. And you're like, nah, it's going to happen. And it happens.
Right.
And, you know, and these kind of things happen. And so even with us not being on the same page, I agree 100%. So I'll go back and tell these guys, like, hey man, it has to be on the same page, because if you do this, 1 minute later, I'm getting a message, why am I not doing it? And then it makes me look bad, like I'm a dick and I'm not offering the super discount on whatever it is. So yeah, I think, honestly, I don't think there was any specific thing, but I think it was just learning the hard way. And I'm hoping that by me learning the hard way, that I could tell everybody else, look at, man, trust me, just do it this way. It's going to be a lot better.
I think it has been, because it's like when mom or dad tells you to do something, you roll your eyes, but then, you know, your brother or your friend tell you, and all of a sudden you listen. So I think that it has helped having you, even though it sucked, because my goal was you learn from my mistakes. Then you had to learn from your mistakes too. But now it's like, hey guys, let's not make this like 5, 10, 20 fold where we're all tripping over the same rock in the road. Yeah. And so I think it has helped a lot. One is having you kind of be there and say, look, yes, my gyms do well, our community is good, but don't do these things to get here. I could have got here faster and eliminated these problems. And I think the other thing is, like we had hit on, is the newer gyms following the process and not making the mistakes and showing the rate of success, and then other people seeing that. So it wasn't the way that I had planned it.
Well, yeah, I guess even to answer your first question, I mean, it's still hard to get people to do it. We just had this talk, I don't know, 2 days ago. The other night we were talking, and I was like, dude, I could lay out every single thing that we're supposed to do. You were talking about the numbered sheet. And I'm like, dude, I'm doing a numbered sheet in my head with these people, and they're not going to do it because they want to learn the hard way.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I already did it. I lost a bunch of times. Like, just let me help you help.
Yeah. I always say that there's no room in business for an ego, you know? And so you and I admit all the time, like, you've rolled ideas out to me and I go, that's a better idea. You know, and I tell people all the time.
What idea was that? Cause I don't remember that one.
Oh, bro,
I'm just kidding.
You've had probably at least like 2 over the.
I think those are the 2 compliments.
A ton.
Okay.
But I mean, you've had these ideas that you roll out, and I'll say, you know what, that is a better idea, or it did work really well. And I think that there's so many people that go into business, especially if they start it and now they've got employees or managers or partners or franchises, whatever they may be, and their ego is too big to admit that somebody else can have a good idea. And so that's one of the things that I think you've kept an open mind to your staff to hear feedback. I try to keep, a round table type of forum for our owners to say, hey, give feedback, let's see. And I tell them that while I've been doing this longer and I feel that I have a good idea of the direction, it doesn't mean that all of our heads together aren't going to create better ideas or be able to work through these things. So I feel like ego is just a huge crusher for so many people that are like, sure, I got this figured out. Like, or even not even just in that regard, but like you just said, is it doesn't even have to be that you were the first one. You're the newest one. And so, I mean, that's a bigger one, is if you're somebody watching this and you've been doing this for 6 months and the guy that brought you in has been doing it for 6 years and you're telling him that you have a better idea, even though he tells you he's done it and it's not, that's ego. That's ignorance. Is you got to be able to listen to that person and say, hey, after 6 years, he said he already did this and it didn't work. I need to respect that and understand that his knowledge and experience really should be something that I pay attention to.
One of my mentors, you might want to use this one now. One of my mentors will tell some of my guys that I've forgotten more than that they know.
Yeah.
And I'm like, that's true though. Like, we've been through this for a long time. There's a lot of things like, I mean, I don't know when was the last time you actually physically opened a gym. It's been a while. You probably forgot some of the steps.
I tell people all the time, even if, I trained we did the Thanksgiving workout outdoors. It was the first time I ran anybody through it. Dude, I was rusty training. Yeah. Like, I started this as a trainer. So I had to knock some cobwebs off. Yeah. I think that's when you don't do it for a minute, you're going to end up being rusty. And you have, but I tell people that, as I had one of our trainers, Travis, was joking with me saying, bro, I bet if you throw the headset on, bro, you wouldn't be the best trainer anymore. I go, yeah, not for like 4 or 5 classes. I'll be honest. Like, it would take me a minute to knock the dust off and then I'd show you how it's done. But you have to be able to be honest about that, because if I had said no way and I go down there and put the mic on and I'm stuttering and stammering and not doing good, then it only hurts me. It hurts their respect and everything else.
Well, that's tough. That's where we're going. We're in different places now. So it's hard to sometimes go back and remember the little small steps, the little small things that you did when you opened a gym or when you started the sales process or whatever.
But I think that's the difference, is when you do things properly, is that's no longer your job. It's still getting done, just not by you. And so that's why you'll see now here at the corporate headquarters is I've got one of several people doing it. So they are the expert in that field now. They know how to do it. So even though I don't do it every day, it's still getting done, just not by me. And I think that's one of the things that is a challenge. And one of the things that actually segues into one of the questions I had for you is scaling the business. For me, that's been one of the biggest challenges, is staffing and being able to delegate and create systems and processes and say, out of all 999 billion things that I do, how do I take this many of them and make that a job? Or should I take this many of them or this many? And then who's good for that job? What's the job description? How much responsibility do they get? For me, that's been very hard, is finding the right people, creating those jobs. And then what we'd hit on earlier is just having the ability for me to step back and allow them to have the power that they need. So for me, that's been a big obstacle. I wanted to see for you, like, what's been one of the bigger challenges that you've had as we've scaled?
I mean, that is the biggest challenge, is scaling. I tell everybody this, friends that are not in our business, current owners who are talking about doing a second location. I'm like, it is 1 million times harder, 2, 3, whatever. You would know, I actually joined a CEO group to like help just talk to people. Like, it was like AA for business people, just to talk about the scaling process, because it is hard. And I mean, you're doing it from a different level because you're doing it per location with multiple people. And then I'm doing it just in my locations. But you're basically trying to take what you know worked, but scale it that everybody else can understand in the same language. And that's the hard part. Like, it ain't that easy.
Yeah. And it's, they always say good help is hard to come by. And I mean, dude, that's the most understated comment ever. I mean, it's creating those positions and scaling, but also finding good help. I remember back in the day, you and I joked about it a lot of times, is everyone would say good help is hard to come by. And when I was younger, I thought that was the most bullshit I'm like, bro, give me an opportunity. Watch me absolutely murder it. I'll work 20 hours a day. I'll kill it. I would have. What I realized later is the comment was true. I was the exception. Yeah. And that's the difference, is so many people now will watch this podcast and then not show up to an interview tomorrow. They'll watch this podcast and then they'll show up late to work tomorrow and think that they deserve a raise because they've been there for 2 years. that's just not the way that it works, is you have to be able to go out there and perform. You have to be the person that's going to go out there and execute and kill it. And I think that just a lot of people lack in that area.
You got to outwork everybody else. It's definitely, I've got a couple of ads up right now. We're getting these interviews, and I'll be honest, like one of the people, this is the best thing, their job history only has their Instagram handle.
And I'm sure it's not good.
I didn't even look at it.
I would have looked at it just for fun.
I have a.
This better be.
It's been so funny.
It better be one of the multiple picture posts of him in a suit at Hardcore Fitness. Like,
so bad.
It better be impressive.
We got one guy we know applying for a trainer position, and we call him, and he's like, "Oh yeah, I don't want to do that." Like, but you applied for it. He's like, "Yeah, I didn't read the title. I'm sorry." Like,
dude,
it's crazy.
It is insane. And the crazy thing is, we started this because, as you had said a little earlier, we skipped over it, but you really respect all these gyms because anyone that can help somebody get them off the couch, get them healthy, and help them out is good, and you respect that. And I think that we both found passion in that, and that's why we enjoy doing this, is being able to speak and pay it forward. But what can be the most frustrating thing in both areas is, and something that I learned a long time ago, is you can't force somebody to get in good shape, and you can't force somebody to be a hustler. That's a decision they have to make on their own, and they have to come to certain realizations. Is we'll get people all the time that say, my mom is so out of shape. Please motivate her, make her come in. And I'm like, I won't even try. Like, it's not, if she can't walk in the door, if she's not willing to walk in the door, then there's not a whole lot I can do for her. You have to want it a little, and then we can build on that. But you got to take the first step. And so I think that's the same thing with business. Is so many of these people want something, but they're not willing to do anything for it. Like, they aren't willing to get up in the morning and go get anything. And that's the frustrating part, is when you'll get somebody and they hear this and they say, I want your knowledge, I want your advice, and I want you to give me a few pointers, and they don't take any of it ever, and it's like, it's very frustrating. But what we'd realized a long time ago is same thing with fitness. I'm not going to try to force anybody to do anything. I'm going to put it out there. I'm going to hope they take it. And the ones that do, I'm going to set the hook, and I'm going to make sure those people really get something out of it. The ones who don't, they aren't going to stick. It doesn't mean I don't care. It doesn't mean that if you circle back around, I'm not going to be excited to help you. It just means that I can't want it more than you do. And I think that's kind of something that we've had to learn over time.
I think out of like the 10 qualities you look for in like an employee, or even someone that wants to be an entrepreneur, I mean, you could train someone a process. You could even teach them to have a better attitude. You could do all these different things. The one thing you really just can't teach is work ethic.
Yeah.
You cannot make somebody work harder. You can't do it.
It's legit the thing that, like, integrity and work ethic are the things I respect the most. And probably because they're a crazy rarity in this day and age, is, when we were young, it was expected. That's just what it was. Is you're a man, you get up, you go to work. These are things that were expected. I remember when my dad took me to work for the studios, took me to set, and we got there, I want to say it was 2:30 in the morning, 3:30 in the morning. It was dark. There was not another car in the parking lot. And I want to say it was Warner Brothers. And we get there, we sat out there for like an hour and a half. And I asked him, why are we here so damn early? And he said, because I'm the first one here, and I'm the one that opens the door when the boss gets here. I open the door with him. I'm the first guy in the door. So we ended up going in. He ended up working. I don't know if it was Suddenly Susan, maybe it was Everybody Loves Raymond. I don't remember which studio he was at the time, but it ended up being a wrap party after. So at the wrap party, my dad he was a dolly grip, and he ended up doing some camera operating stuff. So he ends up finishing with what he's doing, sets up for the wrap party. So now it's like midnight, okay? The party starts. They party until late, or, maybe the wrap party started at 10 or something. Then they party till late, early in the morning. Then he has to clean up. And mind you, most of that wasn't his job. He got paid for it, but it wasn't his job. And I fell asleep standing up in a corner. He still tells the story. I was standing, and I just fell asleep leaning against the wall. And he was the last one to leave. I was helping him sweep when we left. And when we got in the car, I'll never forget it. I said, this was horrible. It was terrible. We've been up for like 2.5 days. I don't even know what's happening. Like, I'm so confused why this is even occurring. And he said, if you want to excel at anything, be willing to be the first one in the door and the last one to leave. If you're not willing to at least do that, accept that you're not going to be exceptional at it. Accept that you're not getting a promotion, you're not getting a raise, and you're not going to make more money. If you're at least willing to do that, you probably have a shot. And it was something that seemed very simple at the time, and it's something that just stuck with me that I think a lot of people should try to absorb, is just get up and go there and do your job better, be there longer.
I think a lot of that, you got that from your dad.
Yeah.
You know, my parents were hard workers and they made me work. I think, I mean, me being a father now, like, yeah, I want to spoil my son as much as I can, but I need to teach him these values. And that's a big, important thing. And same with our staff, you know, like we're not their daddy, but
Right.
you're trying to teach them these qualities, and maybe they didn't have that growing up. And that's
Right.
why people are lazy and they don't find value in hard work, or they just want to be handed everything. Maybe their mommy and daddy still take care of their bills.
Yeah.
And our job with them, you know, just
Well,
doesn't
you and
matter.
I joke about a lot, or get joked with a lot, is that people say like, oh, we've got all these, you know, these children that we've adopted or whatever. We've got staff or other people that, you know, we end up doing things for, kind of mentoring or whatever. And people will tease us about it. But I think that, as you just said, that's why we do that, is because we do realize we see something in them, but we see that they didn't get some of the things that we got. So we try to kind of fill that in and say, hey, I see excellence. Let's try to rise it to the surface. And I think that that's something that I do it also because I wish that I had that. Is I did have my dad when I was younger. You know, things got a little rocky when I got older, but I had my dad there and he instilled a lot of good things. But as I got older, I always wanted somebody to kind of help lead me a little bit, give me a little advice. You know, I'll take it and run with it. And I think that you and I both, even though we had good role models, we were lost in certain areas, just kind of scratching and clawing to try to figure it out. So I think that that's probably a reason why we end up taking some of these people under our wing and trying to help them out.
Like, oh, you can't get to work? Let me help you get a car. I got you, dog. I got you.
I mean, shoes. I mean, we've got all these stories,
Yeah.
like getting people shoes and staff shoes and stuff. I mean, you know, people will joke with us about it, but I think that's why we do it, is it's something in us that we see something and we want to be.
100%.
And sometimes it works out, sometimes it doesn't. You know, it kind of hits on what we had said earlier as far as not becoming jaded or being able to hire staff and not change because you got burned by somebody in the past. Is I get people now that I've helped other people and it didn't work out. And these people are very ungrateful. They leave, bad things to say. I'm confused because it seems like for absolutely no good reason. Or somebody that has to be terminated after I've tried and done these things for them, and they have to get terminated, and they still just hate you because they lost their job. And so people always ask me, cool, you're probably never gonna do that again, right? Like, you're not gonna go the extra mile, right? And I go, no, I will, because I want to believe they're the exception, not the rule. Is most people are going to appreciate it. Most people are going to take something positive. I'm going to feel fulfilled by helping them. And there's going to be that occasional person, and I just have to be able to absorb that BS that happens.
Yeah, I mean, I know one of your questions is like, what's my biggest weakness, which I don't really have that many, but I would say the one that I know that it is, and I'd say you probably have it too, is we give probably like 18,000 chances to the same person. And it's a bad quality. As a business owner, I tell my staff, I tell my general manager, I'm like, my worst quality is I will let you do the worst shit ever.
Yeah.
And I'll keep you because I like you and I find the good in you. All I see is the good.
Right.
I'm like Shallow Hal.
Right.
I'm like, but he's so good with the members.
Yeah.
Like, it's so good.
Well, you and I would have those talks all the time. And just recently, over the last like 4 months, I've been able to do much better at separating that. I'll never be that person. And I just had a talk with one of our gym managers, and they were saying like, it's just, they want it to seem easy when they're letting someone go or writing someone up, but they're like, honestly, like, I want to seem strong for you, but like it upsets me, it hurts me, you know, it's hard. And I'm like, that's totally fine. It's horrible for me. Like, it'll never be easy for me. I'll never just be like, deuces, like, good job, take it easy, kick rocks, it's business. You know, the business is business thing. It'll just never be the case. But it's a necessity. It has to happen. And so for me, as I've gotten better at it, is it's still hard. I struggle with it, and it's something that I don't enjoy doing. But I've done a lot better recently, because most of the mistakes these people were making that you and I are talking about weren't detrimental to our business. You know, they were small things they shouldn't have done, and other places probably would have terminated them, and we wanted to give them a chance. But it also creates a culture of accepting those shortcomings, and it's creating that level of acceptability of somebody doing those kind of things. And that's what I think you and I have realized, is even if it's not detrimental, it's showing a level of acceptance. And my standards, again, are too high. And even though I care about you, you're setting a standard that's below what I accept. And so now it comes down to that, what do I do? And so now I've been able to make some of those tougher calls. But again, is we didn't do it because we cared. And I think that for a lot of the people that end up going into some of these positions, we hire the wrong people in the beginning, is what the problem is we care so much that we give someone. A front desk person wants to be a trainer that is not qualified, even if they're qualified on paper. Very knowledgeable trainer. Biomechanics, great. Programming, excellent. Scalability, all good. Their personality isn't right. They're never going to be accepted the way they should, but we want it so bad for them. We put them in there. We do everything we can. It doesn't work. They leave, and then they hate us. oh, this. So what I've looked at is if I truly care about them, don't ever put them in that position because they're going to fail. Now they don't like me. It's not good for my business. It's not good for them. So it's been able to help me change my mindset is if I want to do what's great for them, put them in a position they're going to thrive in. If they're not going to thrive in it, just be honest and say you're not going to do good.
Yeah.
I just got a message 10 minutes before we started this from somebody that wanted that. And I was just honest and just said, honestly, it would be putting you in a bad place. We have these certain standards of acceptability for a trainer and you don't meet on them in these areas, which weren't anything personal. They were just attributes they didn't have. And they responded. I respect that. That sounds like it makes sense. And it's saving them pain in the long run.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I mean, I think it's all of us getting better at hiring and finding those qualities from the get-go. But yeah, that's a learning experience. Again, that's something you don't get watching a seminar.
Right.
They don't teach you that.
Yeah, I mean, that's why people too is we won't go into the whole college and school thing or whatever. But, a lot of people ask me that a lot is as far as school. And I can say it's, I suggest it in these situations or, if you're in this position, maybe you'll want to try something different. But either way, regardless of what you do, I don't care if you go to any school of business or not. I've never met a single person that's gone to any school that I talk to and I'm wowed by their actual practical day-to-day knowledge of how to run a business.
Yeah.
I actually have a good friend from high school that has spent like 10 years on her education. On paper, she should be a rocket scientist of business. All right. She should be like resurrecting Steve Jobs as we speak to create a new business with him. That's how much knowledge she should have. And when she went to start her business, she started calling me, asking me things. After about a week of that, I was just honest with her. And I said, I'm stupefied by the fact that you're calling me and asking me these questions. You've spent about $1 bajillion on education. You should be a doctor of business by now. Like, why are you asking these questions? She goes, we didn't learn any of this.
Yeah.
So I think while, again, I'm not discouraging somebody from going to school, the point is that there are certain things that you're going to have to realize are only going to be learned through application and experience. If you're not willing to get in the trenches and learn, you're probably never going to experience it and never going to actually absorb it. So
yeah, there's no shortcut to business.
Yeah. No, I mean,
that's why I got to get mentors. I totally like this podcast is going to be cool. Anybody that you could reach out to and you find anybody that you think is doing good, if you can grab them and somehow get in with them, I think mentorship is the key. You're going to learn more from someone who's done it than any school is going to teach you. And I have a college degree. Like, I don't preach it. I fight with my wife about this. I didn't make in 20 years when James doesn't go to school. I don't know if college is going to be around. I think it might be obsolete at that point.
Right.
Yeah, you're going to have to go to be a doctor or a lawyer or stuff like that. But
I think even if it's not, it'll change the amount of people that go for certain reasons will definitely drastically change. And I think that because of social media and people like you or I being able to speak on certain things is a big reason why it's going to change. And you and I haven't talked about a lot of the reasons why you went to school, but I'm guessing that it was encouraged by your parents. No?
That's what's crazy.
Really?
They didn't. Yeah, I wanted to go because neither one of my parents had graduated college. And you learned and growing up, you're supposed to go, but at the time, I wanted to make money doing real estate, and I'm like, I'm gonna go to school, and San Diego State's the only school in the whole entire state that does this. I'm gonna get the badass degree, and honestly, I did learn a lot. Like, I'm a numbers guy. Like, I got a finance degree. Like, I know a lot about numbers. I learned a lot about business, but nothing has taught me what I've learned in the last 6 years. Nothing from school.
Yeah, and what's crazy is, I had said parents, but I always say that it's one of two things why people usually go to school is because of your parents or because of society, and basically it's an expectation or a belief. And it's, for me, it was my mom, because she came from nothing, just thought school means success and money and a better life. And so you end up going down that road. And I think that entrepreneurship now being more mainstream shows people that while it's not a negative thing, it can be negative in certain situations if you're acquiring too much debt, doing things that you don't understand, things like that, and that there are other avenues. And that was the big thing for me that I'm so fortunate that I ended up here, because I remember all the people that came in my school talking about, you got to get this on your SATs, you got to get this, you got to get that. I'm sitting in the back literally like, I'm already like dropped out. Like, I got no way, there's no possibility of graduating. Like, I could literally ace everything from here on out, and I'm out of this. This place is booting me. So I remember feeling really discouraged, and teachers would always try to do things that they thought were motivating, but they were really scare tactics of the percentage of people that don't graduate high school that make over $30,000 is like 2%. You're guaranteed to live in a van by the river. And I'm like, that's actually horrifying me, and I know that I'm probably not going to graduate. So now I feel more discouraged. So while it might have motivated the other kid to work a little harder to get his degree, it just destroyed me, because I'm sitting there going, I know I'm probably not going to graduate. They're giving me these statistics. And I actually just the other day we were sitting in the office, and there was in Forbes, they had an article on high school dropout millionaires and billionaires. And they had done, a bank had done some statistics on it. And they had said, if you were, and they had done it through all different ethnicities. If you were a white male, that without a high school degree, you had a 1.7% chance of making $1 million. They had done another study, so they don't have two that correlated, but they had another one where they took all of the population. There's about 8% of the population has one felony. So for all the viewers, I got two. So I don't want to brag, but like I'm not a one type of person. I always try to at least double it up. So I had the two. So out of the 8%, how many of them correlate with the other study of 1.7%? But either way, it's a decimal percent chance that I ended up here. So 0.00173 or something is what I came up with. And that's very estimated math, because there's no two studies that correlate. Probably because why would they do a study on X felon high school dropouts that make $1 million? Because there's like not very many of them. Yeah. So it would be a hard study. But I think that that's a big reason why I want to do this podcast too, is again, how we just said is I didn't have any of those people to look up to. Is I was always I'm going to be a statistic. It's hopeless. I have no chance. What I've realized is when the teacher said there's a 2% chance, why in the fuck can't I be the 2%? Even if it's only 2%, I'm a 0.0017% that I got here, but I'm that percent. There's always somebody that's that. So I don't care what the statistics are. There's always a way. Even if you didn't go to school, even if you did this, there's always a way. And even if it's not traditional, there's something in front of you.
Well, I mean, I rag on social media a lot, but that's one of the cool things about social media is, and that's the really cool thing that podcasts are blowing up, because it is cool. Like you could actually learn about maybe your experiences and say, that's me.
Right.
I can make it. It doesn't mean I'm a piece of shit. I can do this.
Right.
Yeah.
I think that's the key. That's my biggest thing is every post that I put up, every time I do anything is essentially that is the driving factor every single fucking time is I hope that I reach one person that looks at something and goes, I like that. I want that. That sounds better than what I have. I didn't know he came from that. It gives them literally, if all it does is make them say I have a chance, that's more than I thought when I was younger. I just had something that was aching in me that told me I was destined for more, that made me keep doing it, but all logic defied it. Everyone told me you got no chance. You're going to live in a gutter. Like this is it. So I want people now to have at least know they have a fighting chance. Yeah, the odds might be against you. It's going to be harder, but if you're willing to work for it, you have the same opportunity as anybody else.
Yeah, that's what's dope about today's society and world, and anybody can make it.
Yeah, which is where else?
Yeah.
I mean, obviously, I'm not going to start flying the flag, but where else other than in America are you able to come from where I was at, and to be able to do what I'm doing today is. A guy like me should not be on a platform like this speaking on anything educational or of success without any traditional education and with a background of anything but success. I should not be a voice of anything, but I think that it's amazing that it can be. And I do think that most of the population are those people. The few people that fit into the box of what society says people should be may not relate with a lot of the stuff that we say. Yeah. But they are not the majority. And so I really feel like the majority needs to be able to hear that you're not defined by your mistakes unless you allow yourself to be defined by them. Like if you want to be something else, be something else. So outside of business, since we hit on a lot of business stuff, most people know me as being like, I'm a weird cat. Like I'm always, like you said, if we're at a party, I might just drop down and do the splits. Like I might start twerking. At the last Thanksgiving workout, I had like a couple hundred people twerking. So everybody knows that I'm super weird. So like on a scale of 1 to 10, how weird would you say you are?
3.
3?
I just don't think I'm that weird. I don't know. You've got like a low key weird. So you got like where you were at the house. I remember one of your stories at the house with the house of disaster, and you're like drinking a scotch and the baby's like running around in the house, and Vanessa comes in, she's screaming at you, and you're just like, to me, that's funny, just weird. Like you just don't care. Just sit there like,
Yeah, like, no, the house is a disaster. My kid's running around naked. Like,
that's not normal.
Yeah, I mean, no.
See, maybe that's why I don't think I'm weird, is because I just think that's normal. Like,
yeah.
Well, I mean, to relate to that story is when my wife wasn't working and I'd come home and nothing was done. I've been like, damn, I work like 12 hours a day and like dishes aren't done, the bed's not made. And she's drinking a glass of wine. She's like, today was rough.
So this was your payback?
So she starts working and I'm like coming home and he's tearing the house up. I'm like, fuck, I'm gonna make a little whiskey here and I'm just gonna like have my, I have my legs crossed when she came in and she's like, what happened? I'm like,
bro, it was pretty legendary.
It's been rough. Like, so yeah, I mean, I'm more of a, that was
low key weird.
That was a tit for tat kind of thing. But yeah, I don't know. I mean, I definitely am not gonna drop down and do the twerk anywhere. And I don't know, I think I'm kind of normal, but I don't know. Maybe that's me.
Yeah, I don't know. You got low key weird.
Yeah,
you hide it. You hide it a little bit better.
Yeah, I don't know.
So
I'm definitely more mild in this day and age
than
I was maybe 10 years ago or even 5 years ago.
Yeah,
when I was making all these pictures.
Yeah. No, the sherbert.
Yeah.
So, with all the stuff that we went over, if there's somebody that came to you today and they say, "Hey, I'm looking to start my own business," what would be your quick intro of advice to them?
Yeah, I mean, that's a good question. I mean, I know we hit on all these things, but my first question would be is, what's the business? And do you enjoy doing it? Do you have any knowledge of it? Yeah, I mean, think about if someone came up to you and said, I want to open a gym, but they don't want to do hardcore fitness. So they're not trying to follow a plan. They want to do their own gym.
Right.
But they don't like fitness. They don't even like working out.
Right.
I'm going to tell them, it's probably not good. So I don't know. I always ask them when people come up to me and approach me these things, I'm like, what do you want to do? What do you enjoy doing? We talked about it earlier. Are you going to think of it as work, or is it something that you would do for free? I think if you ask, I mean, obviously none of us want to work for free, but we both have hit on, I like doing this shit.
Yeah.
If the money was less, I would still do it.
Yeah.
I like doing it. So I think those would be, I would ask more questions than anything. I would ask them questions and try to decipher what are they trying to do and where are they trying to go with this.
Which, I mean, obviously is off that topic, but is something that I hope somebody takes away from this is, as the expert being asked for advice, he's saying he would ask more questions. So I think that that's something that all of us should take from that is you should be willing to ask questions. And that's something that I think too many people are waiting for an opportunity to speak instead of listen. Too many people are wanting to give their advice rather than ask a question. And I do think that that's a key even from people, some of the smartest people in the room. If you go to ask them for something, you'll notice that a lot of the time they do ask more questions. They want to be able to give better advice. They don't just assume that they have the answer off the bat. Yeah.
If someone comes up to a successful person in their eyes to ask them advice, that successful person is not going to give you a blueprint and say, oh, this is what you got to do. Right. This is how you're going to make all your money.
Right.
So that's where I go back to looking for mentorship. And most, I would say, people that want to be mentors, they don't have to be old, but have more experience.
Right.
They want to help because they like, dude, I mean, like, you want to help all these people. This is what you're doing this for. Like, I do this with my staff. This is why I like to partner up with people for locations. I like to share what I've learned, and I'm going to, help you get to where you want to be.
Right. And I think that that's something as far as the mentality of it. Like you had said earlier, one of the things that you think that's key is just the mentality. But that's the biggest thing that I want to try to drive home to people in business, but also something that we've learned through fitness. Like I said, I used to not talk about mindset in fitness. It was I was the book person. Like, this is technically how you train, just shut up and train. Yeah. And I realized that's not how people tick. That's not how people work. And just because I can wake up in the morning and do it, they're going to hit these other obstacles. And 9 out of 10 times, those are mental. There's something that they could get around if they had the right mentality. And so that's something that I want to try to drive home is those people that go to somebody to ask for advice, they're looking for advice of them to tell them, go do this, make money. The best advice that they could actually get would be something that makes them think differently, to want to go out or be more capable to go out and actually perform those things that they figure out on their own. But that's the biggest problem. And that's, I think, the bigger problem under that is that people don't realize that is, first, there isn't any blueprint. And two is, even if there was, you're not in a place mentally to execute it anyways. You're doomed anyways. The reason you're not doing that and you haven't found that blueprint on your own is because you're not in the right frame of mind. If you were, you would have figured it out already. So I think that's something that hopefully we're able to drive home with this podcast. And if there's anybody that goes up to somebody and asks for advice, they can have better expectations and ask people better advice in those areas. Because right now I do get that a lot. I'm going to open a gym. Tell me how to make it successful. Like, bro, you haven't opened a gym for a reason. And when you do, it ain't going to be successful for a reason. And all of them are within you. The person looking back at you in the mirror can either change that or not. I can give you a few hopefully impactful thoughts that sink in, but you're going to have to put those things into action.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I think, I know you watch Shark Tank. We like to watch it, but I like it the people that don't get a deal.
Yeah.
And they always come back and be like, you know what? The sharks were right. They told me all these things that were wrong with my business, and I fixed all of them, and here I am. I killed it.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, they took a negative and turned it into a positive, and those are those entrepreneurs that kill it. They're going to kill it, and they're always going to win.
Yeah. I mean, also is, one of the things, circling back to the very beginning of the podcast, was talking about how we had started the business. And at that time, there was no infrastructure. There was nothing. Like you said, I told you I don't have anything figured out. I was thinking about a second one. And I think that the big thing that hits on this and the mindset and the reason why somebody hasn't gone and started their gym is they're waiting for the perfect time, waiting for somebody to give them the tools or the blueprint. You were told there is no blueprint. I don't know how this is going to work out. You said, I want it bad enough. Let's go for the ride. That right there is, I joke around and say we said it at the last signing, is that you got to have Harry Peaches. Like, it's Harry Peaches. Like, how many people got a set of Harry Peaches to just go, I love this. I'm going to make this work. I know that there isn't a roadmap, but I don't care. I'm down to start. I'll pull out my pen and start drawing it out with you. Let's go. Let's explore.
Yeah. There's not many people like that, though. That's the reason why there's not so many entrepreneurs, is because that's a crazy ass mindset.
True. But if they know that's what's required, they can either dig down and find it and adapt to that, or go a different path. And either way, it's going to be educational to them, and it's going to help them in the long run. So that's really what I want people to see is, you didn't get here. I didn't get here because I went to a mentor and said, how do I do this? And he said, here's step 1 through 100. And at 100, you make 1 million. And it doesn't exist. And those people don't end up killing it. You have 2 different types of people that lead when something is brand new. The industry was new. I didn't have answers. We went through it. And we had an option to either be the dead bodies that are the foundation that other people build on, or be the ones that are light years ahead of everybody standing at the top of the mountain. We were fortunate enough to have what it took to be the people at the top of the mountain. But either way is, I would have rather been the dead person that was someone's foundation than the person that was standing on the sidelines watching.
Yeah.
I'm always the person who's gonna go in there. Yeah. I'm gonna try it. I might be the person that fails, but hell, I'd rather fail and go, well, I tried. I was out there. I was in the race. So
I think we're all we, you've talked about it in the past where you spent your life savings to remodel the gym. Yeah. I opened a new gym every year. So every time I get a little nugget, I put it into something else. I'm all in every year.
Yeah.
And it's a gamble. I gamble every year, and I put it on the line. And I told someone this the other day, I call myself a gunslinger. Yeah. I just don't care. I'm like, let's do it. I'm going to figure it out.
Well, I think that it's not even that you don't care. It's just you have faith in your abilities, and what you want outweighs what scares you. And that's what everyone has to realize is, you're not somebody who's not scared. I'm not somebody who's not scared. Dude, I make moves weekly that make me want to shit my pants. All right. I'm like, oh my, when I write checks that I literally didn't think that I'd make in a lifetime. And my hand is shaking while I cut some of these checks. It's not that the fear isn't present. It's not that you're looking at these people that are just fearless leaders. They're scared shitless just like you would be. The difference is what they want far outweighs that fear, and they're willing to focus on the necessity to do it, and they're willing to risk that fear. Is what they're scared of is probably true. They could fail. All those things running through your mind, those are potential realities. But what could be on the other side is so much greater that I'm willing to roll the dice on it.
Yeah.
And I think that's what you've done year after year, and I've done too, is people say, you put that much in and you've only got this much liquidity and you've done, like, you're crazy. All those people that said I was crazy are usually now asking for jobs or doing now giving praise. That's just kind of how the world works, is the person willing to roll the dice have a pretty good chance, if they're doing things right, that they're going to be the ones that people look up to later, or the ones that end up being successful. Too many people are willing to go to Vegas and gamble away money they don't have, but they won't take a shot on a relationship, somebody that they've cared about forever. They won't take a shot on their business growing. And for me, that's backwards. I don't even gamble in Vegas. I don't spend any money. I gamble with everything I have every day. And so, because this is important, I'm willing to roll the dice when it counts. So I hope that some people take from that is, don't idolize these people and think that they're fearless. Those people are scared, and those people don't have it all figured out. They just have faith in their abilities. There was a saying that was something along the lines of, the bird on a thin branch is never afraid of the branch breaking, because it's not relying on the branch, it's relying on its wings. And for me, that was always a cool saying, because I'm not relying on the plan. I'm not relying on any of the other stuff. I'm relying on my ability to fly if I fall. I'm going to figure it out on the way down, and I'm going to make sure that I don't hit rock bottom.
Yeah.
So I think that that's something that hopefully people can take from this is, even with a lack of a plan, a foundation you feel is slippery, if you have faith in yourself and you're willing to roll the dice, you'll probably do well.
To touch on what you're saying in the gamble part, I really think is what people have to understand is we all put everything all in on something, and it always, if it works, which it should, you're hoping it does, it catapults you or slingshot you. I call it the slingshot. Like every time I open a gym, I mean, when I opened the first one, I had $300 left in my bank account. I'm like, fuck, I'm broke again. I did it. I remember like crying building that gym, going like, what did I do? This is stupid. Then it takes me to another level. Then I open another gym and I'm broke again. I got no money in the bank, and then it catapults me to another level. And I keep doing it. And even now at these gyms, people are like, why are you still doing it? I'm like, you know what? I might slow me down for a little bit, but it always slingshots me to the next level. Even someone like, for example, real estate, if you're going to do flip houses, you're going to buy a house cash, you're going to put all the money you have, every single dollar, and then you're going to figure out a way to fix it up, and then you're going to sell it, and you're going to make a profit. Well, you're broke for 3 or 4 months until you fix it, and then you're going to slingshot forward, and you're going to come out 40, 50,000 above.
Yeah, and then you're either going to buy 2 houses or a bigger house with bigger profit margins.
But it takes someone to make you want to call it Harry Peaches or whatever you want to call it. Harry Peaches. It takes you to do that. You got to go all in, and it is a gamble. Really
and I think the other thing too is people look at some of those moves and they take confidence. You have to be confident in yourself. And a lot of the time people feel that you have to be confident because you're racking up W's, which of course each one of your locations being a success, of course, makes it easier to open another one because I was successful. The thing is truly successful people, while they want those W's and they could give them more confidence to do bigger things, they don't need them. Is those people they're born with confidence. It's instilled in them. Is you look at some of the greatest athletes and they could be on a losing team forever. As soon as they're given an opportunity, they go out and win, and everyone goes, oh, because they're a winner. Like, they've been a winner forever. Yeah. It just took this long for it to be seen by you. They've always had the mentality. They always put in the work. So, for me is all of the losses people will, they don't see, they only see the wins. But in those losses, those are the defining moments. Is the people watching this that are losing right now is you have to lose and be willing to get back up. And everyone always says the difference between a winner and a loser is that the loser stays down and the winner gets up. It's not just that they get up. It's how fast did they get up? And did they get up with the same tenacity and enthusiasm and kick-ass drive that they had when they first got knocked down?
Yeah.
That's the real defining thing is people say, well, I got back up. It's a year later. Like, opportunity has passed you. You got to be able to get hit. And we had said earlier was bounce back is how quick can you bounce back? You can bust me in the mouth and I'm like on springs. Like, I'm right back in your face. I'm not saying it's not going to hurt. I don't get upset.
Yeah.
But I'm right back at work afterwards. And it doesn't shake my confidence. Those losses, if they shake your confidence and now you start lowering your expectations, well, I failed before. Maybe I should only shoot for that. Well, we tried to open a location and it didn't work. Maybe I should just work out of my garage. Maybe I should do this. You have to be able to have that same confidence and go out there and fucking crush it the same way, or you're just slowly dying. You're still out there fighting, but it's a lost fight. You got one hand tied behind your back.
It would be cool for an episode, actually, now that we're talking about this, is I think the problem with everything's portrayed as everyone only sees the wins. You're talking about you're being a felon. I'm talking about I was evicted, blah, blah, blah. Those are old loses.
Right.
We don't talk about the new ones because it's just part of your life and you don't really think about it. I mean, we probably all wake up to calls, and I got a text on my drive up here. It was bad. And I'm like, this didn't even affect me, but we don't talk about those things. It'd probably be kind of cool to get people to call in or email you or whatever and just have, hey, these are like things that I'm going through in my business, and what would you do in the situation? Not that you're going to just give out all this business advice, but we lose every day.
I like the idea. I'm down to run
lose
with
every
it. So
day.
I'm actually going to make you lump in on it. So what I'm going to have everybody do is let's run it through Instagram. So what's your Instagram handle?
T_Reynolds 22.
All right. And then mine's Hardcore Fit Larry. So Hardcore Fit LARRY. So you guys are going to have to tag us. And I want you guys to post one of Tommy's pictures from Google. I prefer the Sherbert one. You could make him maybe wearing some Haagen-Dazs. You guys could mix it up. But I want you guys to also, on the picture, you're going to tag both of us. I want you guys to also put on there something that you would want us to hit on to help you. And we'll do a 30-minute coaching call. So I'm volunteering you. So he'll do a 30-minute coaching call. I'll do a 30-minute coaching call, one-on-one. We're going to pick somebody. And so when this episode goes up, we'll have some details on there.
I'm super down for that.
So I like it. So you guys are going to go through it, share some, you guys are going to have to share what you'd want us to hit on that you're basically losing on right now. So something that you're failing at that you need help at, you're going to put it on there and we'll help you guys out.
That's part of being mentorship. You know, that's giving back and the pay it forward thing. I know we talk about it a lot, but yeah.
Yeah. And I mean, that's part of the podcast is we even hit on that. We want to share those personal losses.
Yeah.
So the goal is, as it picks up in the theme, like right now we haven't hit on anything that actually correlates with a loss recently, but my goal is to be really transparent and really say like, hey, just yesterday this happened.
Yeah.
And that's what I want it to be, is people to realize that not only because you do hear a lot of the failures, like you said, is didn't go to school or dropped out of school. But then you think when someone reaches a certain level, they stop failing. You know, now they're untouchable. Like I get people now, like you got it all figured out. Like, dude, my life's a fucking mess half the time. Like, dude, I got high blood pressure. Like it's rough every day. So the goal is to share that part of the business. Is if you're somebody watching this that has a plumbing company or has a construction company or has a bookstore, and you're like, man, I must be doing it wrong because I'm stressed a lot and it's hard. Nah, you're every just day. Doing it. That's how it is. That's called being an entrepreneur. Is there are those people that you'll meet that don't stress and they make millions, billions of dollars, and they just have staff do things. That's fine. The type of person I am in business that we're in, I don't choose to be that way or think that I should be that way with our type of business. So that'll just never be my reality, and I don't think that I'd want it to be. But those people, again, should be an exception to the rule. Most entrepreneurs, successful or not, are failing regularly. Yeah. You had mentioned Gary Vee, and he's awesome and has a lot of great motivation, but regardless of what he says, which he probably would admit, I would guess, if anybody asked him, but I'm sure he fails on a regular basis as well. And so looking at those people and realizing that they're human and they make the same mistakes, I think makes them more relatable, which is key. Is if somebody's going to listen to you or be inspired by you, they have to be able to see a little of themselves in you. They have to be able to think that it's possible to be somewhat like you, or why am I going to try to emulate anything you do or listen to you? So yeah, I think that definitely is key.
Yeah. I mean, everybody should just know everybody loses.
Yeah.
You never just keep winning every day. It never happens.
I mean, we lose more than we win. The reality is, if I think about yesterday, is, I've got, had an issue with our manager not handling about half of their tasks. The salesperson wasn't being managed, so they weren't doing the things they were supposed to do at this certain location. The list goes on. And there was realistically 10 or 15 negative things, losses, L's for yesterday.
Yeah.
And I can't think of a single W. So it was a day of losses. And that's really just the higher you climb is you're more dealing with losses. And your goal is, how do I learn from them? How do I control those losses? And how do I turn them into wins? And that's a hard thing, I think, for an entrepreneur is, this sucked, but it doesn't mean that I suck. I can figure it out, and I can use this as a learning experience. So for us, as we've talked about a lot, when I started the business, was essentially what got us to where we were was all my losses, because I was fortunate enough to be someone that would learn from them and say, that hurt. I'm willing to go out and get hurt again, but I'd rather not. So let me learn from that last experience and figure out how to bob and weave a little bit better. And so I started embracing those losses as it's a new opportunity to learn. That didn't work. So I think that's something people have to be willing to do.
And I think a key part of that is learning how to deal with the losses. So, I mean, even on your end, I would say the last maybe 2 years, it's way better than it used to be.
Yeah.
I mean, I remember you would call me like at 6:45. Like, I just got to call and my blood pressure is high and I'm pissed. And I'm like, it's 6:45. You got to chill out, man. It's super early. Like, come on. So I know you've gotten a lot better at that. I think that's another thing is a lot of people got to learn how to take those losses, and you can't take it home every day, and you can't hold it in. So it's dealing with those. Yeah,
I think that dealing with it, and then like Ed said too, is just a willingness to lose. Is so many people, one of the analogies I give all the time, and that I even sent out as part of the script for the challenge orientation, was when I was young in martial arts. My martial arts instructor had told me, like, you're so good at skills. Every time we do our katas, every time we do everything, you're so good. But every time we put on headgear, you get your ass kicked. Like, you suck. Like, you're horrible. And he's like, why? And I'm like, honestly, I'm scared to get hit in the face. I hate getting hit in the face. And so he gave an analogy that was relative to martial arts, but something that sank in with me and just resonated years later was, he said, if you want to win, you have to be willing to get hit in the face. It never hurts for that long. It isn't going to take you out of the game. Like, it goes away, but you have to be willing to get hit in the face. The goal is to learn from those punches, start avoiding them, and be able to dish out more than you take. And so that kind of just, became a reality to me, was everyone's looking for an easy way. They don't want to lose. So it's, how do I find the way that I have no risk? If there's a wall in the road, how can I go around it, under it, over it? Sure, you can look for that way. But in reality, there's a lot of walls in the road that require you to put your fucking head down and just be willing to run through it. And for me, that was a lesson of, I'm willing to wear it to the face. A black eye goes away. A bloody nose, you can wipe it away and things are going to be okay. I'm willing to take those punches so that I can go out and win. And I think that's something that a lot of people hopefully can take, is if you're always looking for an easy way, what's the new miracle diet? What's the new miracle workout plan? It's called eat fucking better, work fucking harder. That's the miracle. It's always been there. So there's better ways to train. There's other ways around it. But the reality is most people just don't want to do the work. How do you give me the 10 steps to success? How do you give me the new diet program that gives me 20 pounds in 20 minutes weight loss? It's a fucking unicorn. It doesn't exist. Stop looking for the way around the wall. Be willing to put your head down and run through that motherfucker.
Yeah. Yeah. I think
that's going to be one of the things, hopefully, that we can kind of wrap up with. So if you had something that you could, one last thing that you could give to the listeners or viewers to be able to take away from all your years of experience, what would it be? Drop them something.
Oh, man. Honestly, you just started kind of hit on it, but it's really learning from your experiences. I think, like I've said so many times, there's nothing I could have ever read in any motivational book, watching a seminar, that I've learned from just hands-on business. And honestly, a lot of business translates to other business. So, I know if Larry wanted to do something other besides his gyms, he'd probably be pretty good at it because he understands business. And so learn from your experiences. And it sounds shitty to say, but enjoy the journey.
Yeah.
I hate the cliche shit to say, but it really is.
It's cliche for people think it's cliche because they've heard it, but they've heard it because it's fucking true. Yeah. Dude, everyone thinks there's an end. It doesn't. That's a big part of this podcast is there is no end. The stress, people see a life and they go, nice house, nice cars, life's perfect. Problems are still there. And a lot of the time they got more than you. So look at the celebrities, athletes and stuff that commit suicide from depression and stuff. Obviously, I'm not trying to make this dark, but the reality is those people don't have it all figured out. They don't have it all made. So even though it sounds cliche, I think that it's awesome advice is if you don't enjoy the journey and you're just waiting to be happy when you make money or get this car, you're setting yourself up for some major depression because you're going to get there and go, wait a minute, I still have all these problems. It ain't. So if you can't enjoy the journey, you're never going to enjoy the destination.
And money doesn't make you happy.
No.
That's another cliche thing to say, but that shit does not make you happy. It's more problems. More money, more problems. Biggie said it.
Preach it, bro. Preach it. But I will say this, though. I will say this on that is money can be a conduit to finding your happiness. It gives you the ability to be happy. So like everyone will ask what my greatest moment in business is. When I just did a podcast the other day that I was on, and they had asked me what was my greatest moment. And it was buying my mom her home. And when we rolled up, my mom's not a super emotional person. She was crying. I mean, it was the best moment after years of watching my mom struggle and seeing, my stepdad dangle the house over her head. It was leverage, so it was always, you could be on the street tomorrow if you guys don't act right, kind of a thing. So we either had no home or it was dangled over our head. And to be able to drive up and literally tell her, like, this is your home. You will never go to bed crying, wondering if you have a place to live tomorrow. No one can ever hold it over your head. Like, dude, that moment was fucking, it'll never be topped. And so without money, that was not a possibility. 100%. So it is true. Money doesn't buy happiness. Money just makes you an extended version of who you already are. If you're an asshole and you have money, you just become a mega astronomical asshole. You have more ability to be an asshole. If you have money and you're somebody who wants to do good, it gives you an amazing ability to be able to do more good. If you have family you want to take care of, it allows you to take care of them in ways you never could before. So the money isn't going to take your problems away, but it is going to give you a platform to try to create your own type of happiness.
Yeah, enjoy the journey. Listen to people that have done there and been there and done that.
I like it. Yeah. Cool. All right. Well, Tommy, thank you, dog.
Yeah.
And it was awesome. So
I'm going to invite myself back up for season number 2.
Oh, bro, you'll be on another one for sure. Like I said, we could talk for hours. So thank you guys. And we'll see you guys on Instagram. And let's see who gets those coaching calls.
Thank you. Later, man.